Abe. Today is Wednesday, October 26th, 2016, and you gave me punishment, but I haven't done it this week because I have been punished enough. This adorable little book is my worst fucking nightmare. Thomas de Quincy is his name. He's my arch nemesis now. If I were granted access to a time machine, the very first thing I would do is go back and kick this man's ass. I'm not going to go into some of the things that make him the worst, because they're common things. I'm not going to talk about how long-winded he is, how he goes on for paragraphs about things that don't even have anything to do with opium or even his life. I'm not going to talk about any of that, because actually, that's pretty common among these romantic prose guys. And I'm not going to talk about how he's a racist and an anti-Semite, because it's also not uncommon, unfortunately. It's terrible, but it's not unique. We're going to talk about what makes Thomas de Quincy such a uniquely terrible person. So, for instance, these are all not direct quotes, because if I were to look for quotes, I'd have to read this shit again, and that's not happening. But these are accurate paraphrases, like I promise you. I liked Wordsworth before he was cool. I'm so good at Greek, but I don't actually know all that much Greek, vocabulary. I get the flow, He tells us about how he doesn't know much Greek vocabulary, but he's really good at Greek and has the flow. He understands the structure of the language, and it's just intuitive to him. He tells us about this about 3 times over the course of the book. In case that we didn't get that he was good at Greek, every few pages or so, he inserts just some untranslated Greek to show off how educated and special he is. Please. Oh, he also includes bits of Latin and French, including, in one case, a French word that was literally the same as the English word that it translates to. But instead of writing the English word, which is the same letters as the French word, he italicized it, put an accent over one of the vowels, and call it fucking French. How extra do you have to be? And he does this all the time. There's another place where he quotes The Merchant of Venice, which is fine. You quote Shakespeare. People quote Shakespeare all the time. But just in case we didn't catch that he was quoting Shakespeare, that he is educated enough to be able to quote Shakespeare, he puts in parentheses after it. Not as a citation, because he quotes things all the time that he doesn't cite. Merchant of Venice. Did you get that I quoted Shakespeare? You probably didn't notice there, but I quote Shakespeare because I'm Thomas de Quincy, and I'm so educated. I'm so smart. Shut up, Tommy. No one cares. He actually at one point refers to himself as the Pope of Opium, and therefore, quote, completely infallible. You are not the only person who has ever taken opium. Is so racist, specifically against people from Asia and Turkey. And it's do you know where your opium is coming from? This man is awful. I said I wasn't going to talk about his racism, but it's just fucking next level racism. There's this one point, oh my god, I bet I can even find it in the book because I'm so mad. Alright, I'm going to read this quote to you because it's the worst. From page 227. The servant who opened the door to him being a Malaysian guy, was a young girl born and bred amongst the mountains who had never seen an Asiatic dress of any sort. His turban, therefore, confounded her not a little, and it turned out that his knowledge of English was exactly commensurate with hers of Malay. There seemed to be an impassable gulf fixed between all communication of ideas if either party had happened to possess any. And this is especially egregious because he calls himself a fucking romantic. The Romantics were all about saying that every person has as complex and deep an emotional life as the aristocrats do, and that just because a person works on a farm doesn't mean that they don't think and feel deeply, which was revolutionary at the time. And he calls himself this, especially since prior to this in the book, he lived with some impoverished women in London, including a prostitute who he became BFFs with, supposedly. He's just such a douchebag. I think that I have sufficiently proved to you how awful this man is. I love you. Don't read this book. Don't do it. Goodbye.